Hey everybody, it's great to see you today. Welcome to Living Power, your online Bible study where we are walking through the Bible in a year. Today is June 17th and we're studying some stories of Elisha. I love this part of the Bible because the history books, I think, are fascinating. Don't you agree? We are looking at the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom, and we're seeing today some fulfillment of prophecy. I'm going to refer you back to where the prophecy was stated in 1 Kings. We're reading about Elisha and particularly some of the kings that God raises up today to do His will in doing away with some great evil that had happened in Israel for many, many years, a long, long time. We first read in 2 Kings that, let's see, where did we start off? Chapter 8, that the Edomites are revolting, and this does happen. Remember, they are not actually part of the nation, they are a tribute nation, because when the Israelites or the Judites would go and fight, if they took over another country, they didn't often make them part of the country, but the country that they fought actually paid them tribute. So the Edomites are a tribute nation in this case. Just to keep track, we have a king in the north and a king in the south. The king in the north is Joram. He is actually the son of Ahab. Do you remember Ahab? It's really important to remember the King Ahab because he was the worst of the worst. He had all kinds of priests that worshipped Baal and Baal, and he was married to Jezebel, who is just the worst. You don't ever want to name your daughter Jezebel because she has such a terrible reputation, just a terrible, evil woman. This is what's happening in the north. Now, in the southern kingdom of Israel, Ahaziah is the people's choice. He's the 22-year-old king. Can you imagine being king at 22 years old? That is just very, very young. And they are actually related. And so we see the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom kind of fighting together. They're fighting surrounding nations together. And this hasn't been done for a long time. Now, we don't want to confuse this Ahaziah with another Ahaziah because this Ahaziah that we're reading about is king of the south. And there was a king with the same name, king of the north. So I don't know if any of you do any extra study and kind of realize this, but I just wanted to clarify that. They ruled at a different time. But Ahaziah is not God's choice. He's the people's choice. Who is God's choice to rule, become the new ruler of the kingdom of the south? It would be Jehu, Jehu. And he, through the prophet, was told to destroy the family of Ahab. So the prophecy that Elijah spoke way back in 1 Kings is actually coming true today. Jezebel, the evil, wicked queen, gets her comeuppance today. And she knows it because when she goes to put on her dark makeup and get herself all pretty, she doesn't even plead for her life. She is ugly and, in behavior up until the very end. And she's shouting out at Jehu as she sees him coming. Just a smart aleck till the end. 3 eunuchs throw her out the window. She goes splat. Dies probably on impact. It's a bloody scene. They go in for a meal, come back to bury her. And they see that the dogs have already eaten her body. Her bones is all that's left. And I don't mean to be graphical and gross about the whole thing, but I wanted to say that because do you know that Elijah, years and years and years before, he's gone, dead and gone now. Well, he didn't die, but he's gone. He's up in heaven. He said that Jezebel's body would be eaten by the dogs. And that's exactly what happened. That's why it's important for us to talk about because we want to understand that the fulfillment of God's promises always come true to the letter. And Elijah had said that many years before in 1 Kings 21:23. She, this woman Jezebel, who caused the death of so many, undeservingly, people who worshipped Yahweh, she had so many people killed, now lies dead in just this reputable way, the Lord has seen justice on this woman. Now on to Ahab's family. Part of the command to Jehu was to destroy Ahab's family. He has 70 relatives living in Samaria, and Jehu goes after them all. He actually gains popular support in two ways. Yes, all of these relatives are found and killed, not by his own hand, but by his command. So he tells others, and they go and do it. How did he gain popular support? Well, he confessed to killing Joram. And the people thought, well, because he's telling us the truth about this, he must just be truthful, telling us the truth about everything. Sounds a little bit like our country today, actually. And he didn't tell them that he had actually given the command to kill all of these 70 people. So the people didn't know it, they didn't even question it, and they rallied support around this new king. He also identified with the prophets because he told the people, I have fulfilled the prophecy that Ahab's family must die, and I'm the one that God sent to enact this judgment of the Lord. And so that rallied the people around him as well. Now, God was pleased with some of what he did, but not all of what he did. Do you know the difference? God was pleased that Ahab's relatives, the 70 relatives, had been killed. But Jehu went a little too far, and there were other people that were killed as well, and this is where God was not pleased. There were chief priests, some personal friends, and some other priests that were killed along with the 70 relatives. And God did not approve of that at all. God actually later judges for that in Hosea 1, verse 4. So we see here that when God tells us to do something, we need to do it. But we need to obey it to the letter of the law and not do more and not do less and not get too enthusiastic and outlandish like he did, because his excitement, it just got a little out of hand. So we see that we need to observe whatever the Lord is telling us to the letter. You know, there are parts of Scripture that says when we read or recite Scripture, we're not to add to it or take from it. The Lord's word is enough. And whatever the Lord is calling you today, that is enough. Whatever the Lord is giving you today, that is enough. Perhaps whatever the Lord might be taking from you, that is enough. You know, God is never early, He's never late. When His judgments come, when His answers come. Sometimes it's hard for us to be patient. Sometimes we don't enjoy God's timetable. But what He gives, what He bestows, what He takes away, what He teaches, anything that God does, it's always in the right timing and in the right amount. Can you trust Him to know that whatever He's giving, whenever He's giving it to you, will come at the right and proper time in the right amount? It does take a lot of faith sometimes to wait on God and to trust in Him. But we do need to remember that we can pray for faith and pray for the strength during the waiting. You know, God tells us that in the waiting, we will gain our strength. So perhaps you're waiting on the Lord for something today. Use that time to rest, gain your faith, and build your strength for whatever it is the Lord has. You know, the Lord always gives good gifts, and He loves to bless and He loves to give. One of the first things that I learned in my seminary courses is that the Lord desires to bless, and He absolutely does, but He requires obedience. That's what He was requiring of Jehu. He requires obedience. So if the Lord has told you to do something, do it and act on it. and don't do more and don't do less. Just do what the Lord requires. Well, I pray that this lesson has been a blessing to you today. We're going to continue on in the history books tomorrow. I pray that you will join me then. I do enjoy Bible studying with you so much, and I pray blessing on you and your family. Until we meet again, shalom.